Welcome to the Chang International Circuit. Enjoy it while it's hot and dry, because the last 2 days in the afternoon on each occasion have brought huge rain showers. More than that, flooding out around the circuit. High winds, they're not here at the moment, and let's hope it stays that way, but we are sort of expecting some rain to blow in. This is round 2 of the Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia, a new name for 2019 as it ties up with the Blancpain GT World Challenge Series in the Americas and in Europe. More of that later. Right now we've got to focus on qualifying. So big clouds in the sky, but at the moment everything is dry. It's hot, it's humid, as you would expect here in Thailand, up in the forests around Buriram. An hour's flight northeast of the capital Bangkok. Plenty of space to play in this 4.5 kilometre circuit. 12 turns, 7 to the right and 5 to the left. Drivers need to remember that. And we're going to kick off with the first of 4 qualifying sessions. We have qualifying session 1 and 2 for the respective first and second drivers in the GT4 class. The first of those will kick off at 11:15, so coming very soon indeed, in just 3.5 minutes. And then from 12:02, all things being equal, we will have the first of the GT3 qualifying sessions. 24 cars in the GT3 class, 6 cars here, including a new Thai team this weekend, one of 3 Thai teams here. Racing Spirit team entering a Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport MR, as in Manthai Racing. They've helped sort the chassis for the Porsche Cayman. That's Racing Spirit team from Thailand. That's Mungkong Sathian Thirikul and Prida Tantam Sapia joining in this weekend. But at the moment, the 2 cars keenest to go out on track are the 2 Mercedes from Team iRace.win, which in the first of those, the number 111, that's the one with the yellow bonnet. You can see the green bonnet, the sort of reverse livery, if you like, on the sister car, which is 199. So Setiawan Santoso, Indonesian driver at the front of the queue, and Angelo Negro, an Italian driver who does his racing out in the Far East, will be getting going in the second of those 2 grey, green and yellow Mercedes. So waiting for the clock to get round to 11:15, just over 2 minutes time, and they'll be out onto the circuit. Conditions absolutely fine at the moment. Temperature rising, as you would expect at this time of year, around 30 degrees at the moment, 26 degrees at breakfast time this morning, and now in fact let's see, track temperature 44 degrees. I remember last year it was 54 degrees, and you really felt that if you were standing in the pit lane. 31 degrees air temperature and 67% humidity. Expect that to keep on rising, but right now the GT4 runners, all 12 of them, split across the 2 qualifying sessions of 15 minutes apiece. These qualifying sessions know they've got to go out and put in the quickest time they possibly can manage. BMW Team Studi have taken both wins this year in the opening rounds at Sepang, not so long ago, back in April. And there is the BMW Team Studi M4, new livery for 2019. Very, very jazzy indeed. And the first driver out in that will be Takayuki Kinoshita. And then for the second session, which will start, we have 15 minutes of qualifying, 7 minutes of downtime, which isn't really downtime, it's just between them. And that will be taken over for the second stint by Sunako Jakuchu. Great looking livery. I really do like that metallic blue of the GTO Racing with TTR Mercedes. That's Brian Lee will be kicking that off. And the one closer to us in the inimitable colours of Craft Bamboo Racing. Their one entry in the GT4 class. Frank Yu will do the first qualifying session and then hand over to his French teammate Jean-Marc Merlin. But of course, Craft Bamboo Racing also very busy indeed. They'll have 3 cars when the GT3 runners get out later on today. So it's 11:15 to 11:30 for the first of the qualifying sessions. Then driver 1 will hand over to driver 2, 11:37 to 11:52. Again, a 7-minute break, and at 12:02 will be the first of the 2 qualifying sessions for the GT3 runners, the fastest cars in this field. Background, top right, is the new entry this weekend, Racing Spirit team from Thailand. You can see the grey and yellow Porsche Cayman. And when we first came to the circuit, there were a lot of Porsche Caymans. This is a new generation Porsche Cayman. It's the GT4 Club Sport MR. So the Cayman seen in recent seasons have been superseded. Race control, all eyes on the many, many camera angles they have out around this circuit. As I say, 12 corners around 4.554 kilometres. It goes around 3 different ponds. So cars out onto the track, the inimitable rumble of the Mercedes. Looks as though they're the only ones going out to play as yet. The other 4 cars sitting in the pit lane. There is the mighty grandstand. Huge facilities here just outside Buriram. The nation's most successful football team has its Thunder Castle at the entrance to, that's its stadium at the entrance to the circuit. There's a drag strip as you come in, which is very, very popular once night falls. And there goes the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, rumbling away with Frank Yu at the wheel. Yesterday they had a dry session and then a very, very wet qualifying session as conditions got worse and worse yesterday afternoon, with a lot of sitting water. There's quite a lot of runoff. There's quite a lot of runoff here, and a lot of them were really getting to use that yesterday afternoon. So much spray, but track conditions are absolutely fine this morning. Still a little bit damp if you go on the grass. I mean, the temperature is sort of burning it off, but it really is a case of keeping it on the black stuff this morning and keeping it nice and clean and tidy. No damage, of course, appreciated by the driver who's going to take over second, but no reason to do so. 6 cars coming out to play in this GT4 qualifying session. Just to reiterate, driver 1 will do this first session. 7-minute break, then number 2, driver number 2 there. 199, that's Angelo Negro, taken over this weekend alongside Alan Yeo. The hidden figure of Angelo on the right hand side of the screen. I suggest these 2 cars, well, I mean, number 111 might be applying a tow to 199. I'd actually space them out a bit, but they're coming down towards the end of their outlap, down to the tight right-hander at turn 12. And the Porsche Cayman halfway around the lap, with Munkong Sathian Thirukul, Thai driver, sharing with Prida Tansen Sapia, who's done a lot of gym work to get ready for racing this year, and he's going to be doing driver session number 2. So as the cars go, the first 2 cars, those team iRace.win Mercedes, go out down the long straight. It's a slightly kinked straight. Turn 2 is a turn that doesn't really exist, a very slight kink, 2/3 of the way down that main straight, up to the double right-hander, the hairpin at the end, which is turn 3. Slightly downhill approach that. They go past the grandstand and it just drops away slightly down to the far end of the circuit. I lose sight of them from my fantastic commentary position high in the main grandstand until they've left turn 3. So if anything happens on the exit of the corner, I can see it if it's caught on camera, but not with the naked eye from my lofty commentary position. Then up a slight rise, there is the crest, number 111, Setiawan Johannes Santoso, through turn 4, quick left-hander, then a much slower double apex left-hander, turns 5 and turn 6. A lot of the drivers were running over the curbs, over the very wide tarmac area beyond that yesterday afternoon, just really aquaplaning, slightly downhill entry into turn 5, catching out quite a few of them, but looking, well, the first time on the board will be set by Santoso. There he is in 111. That's the one with the yellow bonnet in the background. You can see the green bonnet on the sister car, with Angelo Negro tucking in behind. Can't quite tell which of those is going to be the faster to the end of the lap, or the faster time at the end of the lap. If anything, I would say that Santoso is being caught down the final run from turn 11 down to turn 12. Yeah, it looks like a better run through turns 9 and 10 by the chasing Angelo Negro. Got to really hold off the power through that final corner. You can see Negro is closing right in. So what time are they going to put on the board? Negro 1:45.7, which is a full second faster than Santoso. That is why he hauled him in. Frank Yu in number 77, the Mercedes AMG, very popular indeed in GT4, said to be a very nice, stable car. Will Frank go to the top of the time charts? No, he won't. He goes into second place. He's half a second down. So it's Negro, Yu and Santoso. Munkong Sathian Thirukul about to come through and set his flying lap time. And he goes 4th. So we're still waiting for the BMW Team Studi M4. That is sitting in pit lane. And the other car we haven't seen out on the track, leaving it a bit late, GTO Racing Team. That's the metallic blue Mercedes AMG GT4. So 4 of the 6 cars in this class look very, very similar to this one, but just merely with different liveries. So fastest car on the track, 199 at the moment. The sister car trying to fight back. That's Setiawan Santoso, still running at the head of this little 2-car grouping, but the faster car is the one in behind. So the yellow bonnet on 111, the green bonnet on 199. So if Negro knows he's the faster driver, he should hang back, doesn't want to get caught up on the tail of Santoso. And around this lap, they look fairly even in terms of their performance. So 1:45.7 seconds, the fastest time so far. just over half a second clear of Frank Yu. So it's Negro from Yu. And here come the Mercedes. Team iRace don't win, and Negro's got the message, go on past, you're quicker than your teammate, now let's see what you can do. So any improvements in time? Yes, Negro actually found another 10th of a second. Santoso also found a little bit of time. He's now a full second back though. Frank Yu, will he improve his second place time? Yes, he does, and he's now 0.2 of a second down on Angelo Negro. So, and we have the fourth of Mercedes. You can see a flash on the screen, the blue GTO Racing Team entry, Brian Lee from Taipei at the wheel. So he's a few minutes and 2 laps down on the front runners, but it's all about just putting a sensible time on the board. Of course, the GT4 cars can't match the pace of the GT3 runners. We'll have 24 of those at the front of the field. It's really a question of which order they line up in. Still waiting for the BMW to come out and entertain us. That's the final car in the group. BMW Team Studi, 2 wins from the 2 races in the opening round at Sepang. Takayuki Kinoshita will kick off, and Sonako Chikuchu will go out. And in fact, the BMW is out on its outlap now, just going through turn 4 up to turn 5, round the infield lake. Very gently around its opening on its outlap. Coming up behind it is Frank Yu. Frank Yu, in fact, so distracted by the BMW, he drove off the circuit at turn 5, rejoined by turn 6. He just set his fastest Sector 2 time, so he's off again at turn number 7, the right-hander. Around Lake 3, as they call it, goes around the outside of the BMW. I don't know if he's a bit distracted, but anyhow, it will be a very quick time indeed for Frank Yu, but 2 big wide moments. So how good is this lap for Angelo Negro? In now the green-bonneted Mercedes ahead of the yellow-bonneted one. Looks like a bit of a fight back from Setia Santoso. In fact, Santoso's fallen down to 4th overall because Munkong Sathian Thirakul in that grey and yellow Porsche has gone up into 3rd place. But it's still Angelo Negro holding sway, and now about to start its first flying lap with a different engine note entirely, the BMW M4. Takayuki Kinoshita still at the bottom of the charts, just below Brian Lee. They're both on their first flying lap, but certainly through last year. This team from Japan, beautiful presentation of their cars, got faster and faster and faster, and such a well-balanced driver lineup. So expect, barring disasters, barring getting caught up in traffic, which you shouldn't really be doing if you've got only the 6 cars in GT4, plenty of space. You can find track space around the 4.5-kilometre circuit. Kinoshita accelerates away to see what he can put on the clock. Frank Yu did improve on that lap. He is now still in 2nd place. He's only 0.036, 36 thousandths of a second down. And he's trying to go faster still. Frank Yu off at turn 4, using the tarmac on the outside of the curbs, and again at turn 5 off the track, rejoins at turn 6, and last time around he was off at turn number 7. Far less dramatic and maybe more efficient is the BMW M4. Look at that, Takayuki Kinoshita, he's got pink on the screen, but so has Brian Lee. Pink means the fastest time of anyone. Brian Lee still to set a flying lap, Kinoshita still set a flying lap, but Frank Yu in the green flanks Mercedes looking very good on this lap. Will he go top? 1 minute 45.6 to beat. He's set at 1 minute 45.6. He's 36 thousandths of a second down, but a really, really strong opening stint for him. Frank Yu out of turn 11, down the very slight incline to turn number 12, the final corner on the lap. Will we see Frank Yu in number 77 go top for Craft Bamboo Racing? Let us see. To the line he goes. Brian Lee is the new standard at the top of the charts. And at his time taken away from him. No, the fastest lap has been set by Brian Lee. Get this, he is 1.3 seconds faster than anyone, but for some reason he's at the bottom of the time sheet. So I'm going to try and find out what. Probably track limits. Let's have a look. Car 11, yes, track limits at turn number 1. So fastest time, but the time taken away for Brian Lee. His 1 minute 44.3. Better than the best lap by Angelo Negro, 1 minute 45.6, but he exceeded the circuit. Frank Yu, his best, also 1 minute 45.6. And now he looks to the fastest driver, Angelo Negro, in 1:99, backing off, letting his teammate go through and have a go. Setiawan Santoso, 5th out of the 6 runners, effectively slowest, because Brian Lee, as long as he keeps it on the island this time, ought to pick up the pace. He's the one who was fastest, had his time taken away, just going out of turn 6. Next, Frank Yu has hardly driven on the track. We've just had the best lap for car number 80, or the last lap for car number 80, which is Mongkong Sathyanthirikul in the Porsche. That was removed for exceeding track limits. But to my eye, every time I not only look at the screen, but look out over the top of the screens, out around the circuit, Frank Yu seems to be going off in the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. Not coming off the power, rejoining the circuit and pressing on. But I'm sure the officials are taking a look. Takayuki Kinoshita, his first flying lap puts him third, 1 minute 45.7. So 1/10 of a second covers the top three cars, but Kinoshita is going really, really fast, faster than anyone. He's coming down to turn 12. Here he is, car number 81. Expect him to go top. New standard, 1 minute 44.6. A good lap, another good lap from Brian Lee. He goes to top. Will he stay there? Yes, he does. Kinoshita slots in 0.188 of a second in arrears. So Brian Lee is really, really making it work. His first flying lap was fastest, had it taken away. But for the driver from Taiwanese driver, really, really getting it together for GTO Racing. So it's number 11, Brian Lee. Number 81, Takayuki Kinoshita. He's second, and Frank Yu third. All of them covered by just over half of a second. The top second covers the top four, with just Mongkong Sathyanthirikul and Setiawan Santoso, 5th and 6th. They're not within a second, but they're both picking up the pace all the time. So Brian Lee, fastest of all, the number 11. Great looking livery. I really do like that metallic blue. It looks actually, a lot of these cars, you go and walk around them in the pit garages, they look really sensational, but the key is to get them to looking good out on the circuit, or near the circuit in the case of Brian Lee right there, and also to look good when caught on TV around the circuit. Challenge is being laid down. Brian Lee, number 11, fastest, but he's being chased around the circuit by Takayuki Kinoshita, and Kinoshita has set a purple time, a pinky purple time in the opening sector, fastest of anyone, 0.2 of a second of Takayuki Kinoshita in the opening sector. Then the middle sector, he took 0.7 of a second out of Lee's time, so Lee's made a little bit of a fumble in the middle sector. He's out of turn 11, coming down the slope to turn 12, 2 minutes 20 seconds to go until the checkered flag will fall on his session. Will he stay at the top of the chart? Takayuki Kinoshita, will he improve on this lap? Well, no, he goes slower by 0.6 of a second, but the important pace is the driver coming through the final corner, the BMW of Takayuki Kinoshita. Target time, 1 minute 44.6. Job done, 1 minute 44.3 seconds. Takayuki Kinoshita goes top by nearly just over 0.3 of a second. Frank Yu stays in third place. Angelo Negro in fourth. Mongkong Sathyanthirikul in 5th, and Setiawan Santoso bringing up the back in the number 111 Team iRace Win Mercedes. All covered by 1.7 seconds. This is the fastest car on the track, the BMW M4. Great hard-edged engine note there, really lovely sound. Very different to the rumble of the Mercedes. Over the rise between turn 3 and turn 4, very slightly downward approach to turn 4. The left-hander, a lot of cars getting it wrong there yesterday, just not finding any traction when it wasn't wet. It was way beyond wet. It was almost kayaking wet. And then turn 5, again, a wide runoff area. Frank Yu, again, wide at 5, rejoins at 6. I think he's got his own special loop around the circuit there. Brian Lee, much tidier. Background shot, pulling over, not trying to interrupt Frank Yu's lap. Very good manners indeed. In fact, Frank Yu's improved in sector 1. He's improved in sector 2, so very good. He's running third. He's got to find one nearly a whole second. So Takayuki Kinoshita, confident his time is good enough and being very, very polite indeed. Who's improving on this lap? Setiawan Santoso has just set his fastest middle sector. He's slowest. He's got to see what he can do to improve. The car with the yellow bonnet goes up a position. He goes up from 6th to 5th. Sorry, up to 3rd, I beg your pardon. That's his teammate in 5th. Setiawan Santoso, good enough to get within 8. He's just moved a whisker ahead of Frank Yu. Here comes Frank, trying to respond. Don't forget, he set his fastest time in sector 1 and in sector 2, so he goes back past Santoso up into 3rd place. Times yo-yoing around, just 10 seconds remaining in the first of the 4 qualifying sessions. 2 for GT4, followed by the 2 for GT3. Looks as Takayuki Kinoshita has this in bag, but then Brian Lee suddenly puts in 1 minute 44.5. He is just 1.164 of a second in arrears. They're watching on in the GTO Racing garage there. That's teammate of Brian Lee. That's Tony Fong who'll be taking over. There is Brian Lee, second fastest, just 1/10 of a second down. Be no response from Kinoshita because he's brought the BMW into the pits, but a very, very tight margin indeed at the top of the charts. Any quick times going to be slotted in? Car number 111 has had a lap removed because exceeding track limits. That's Setiwan Santoso. So a lot of the drivers have just found that there is an edge to the circuit. They're going over it, and it's being noticed. Doesn't look as though anyone's going to improve on what should be their flying laps. To Team iRace.win Mercedes going up into turn number 9. Tight double apex right-hander that feeds almost immediately, and after a very short straight into turn 10. In turn 11, down the slope they come at the end of the lap. There's 199. Fifth fastest, Angelo Negro. Looked good in the early stages, but his teammate Setiwan Santoso picked up the pace and ended up 0.4 of a second faster at the end. No improvement there. Better lap than the previous one, but not better than his very best. So Angelo Negro stays in that 5th place. So at the end of the session, it's Takayuki Kinoshita, 1 minute 44.358 seconds in that jazzy, snazzy looking BMW Team Studi M4. Fastest of all. Second fastest, Brian Lee. He just got straight onto the pace. Had a really quick lap, the fastest lap of all taken away from him right at the start, but he fought back and showed it wasn't a one-hit wonder. And did it all over again. Frank Yu, 3rd. 4th, Setiwan Santoso. He couldn't get into the 1 minute 44, so 1 minute 45.1 for him. And his teammate, Angelo Negro, 1 minute 45.6, so 0.4 of a second down. And then bringing up the rear, the one Porsche in the field, the Porsche Cayman of the team joining for its home race. The Racing Spirit team with Munkong Sathian Thirikul. All of them covered by 1.5 seconds. There we have it up on the screen, 1.5 seconds precisely from top to bottom. So it was a quick fire, 15 minutes, and it was the 2 Mercedes coming out onto the track. Team iRace.win. And at the start of the session, it was Setiwan Santoso leading round, but eventually his teammate went past him, Angelo Negro, and then started setting in better times. Then out came number 77, Frank Yu, a driver who spent a lot of the session running out over beyond the edge of the circuit, but there he's behaving pretty well. Kept those 2 wheels importantly on the circuit on the right side of the demarcation lines out of the final corner. He started picking up the pace. The one Porsche in the field this weekend in the GT4 class, Munkong Sathian Thirikul, one of 8 Thai racers in the field this weekend, going as well as he could. Brian Lee out over the curbs a little bit, had his fastest time taken away, but went back out and did an even better job. He moved up into 2nd place and really was putting the pressure on the BMW Team Studi outfit. But Takayuki Kinoshita, his reputation grows and grows and grows. Very, very tidy indeed. And very polite driving there from Frank Yu, keeping out of the way as the BMW came through. And in turn later on, Kinoshita returned the favour, also getting out of the way. But when the checkered flag flew, it was Kinoshita fastest by 0.164 of a second. His BMW ahead of Brian Lee's Mercedes. So very tight indeed after Q1. Just to reiterate, just 0.164 of a second between first and second. So very, very tight indeed. Now the drivers are all getting out and will be handing over to their respective teammates. And the second session due to start at 11:37. The time on the clock is 11:34 and about 20 seconds. So we should have cars reporting to pit out very soon indeed. And what we saw in the first session was that Team iRace.win likes to get its Mercedes out nice and early. BMW Team Studi seem very, very confident indeed with their well-balanced pairing. And Takayuki Kinoshita took quite a while to come out onto the circuit. So did Brian Lee for GTO Racing. And we may have the same pattern. In the background, the Racing Spirit Team Cayman. That's being handed over to Prudi Tantam Sapia. Munkong Sathian Thirikul has hopped out. And so the 4.55 kilometres of the Chang International Circuit at Buriram in Thailand is dry, it's hot, it's humid. And rain quite possibly is threatening. It's due to be with us all weekend. And on Thursday and Friday, very, very heavy indeed. And at the moment it looks benign, but the rain came yesterday at about 2 o'clock, just as I was arriving at the local airport. In fact, it was dry on the way into town, and by the time we started approaching the circuit, the skies opened, And it really, really came down here. So that number 111 Mercedes being handed over to Ringo Chong, Singaporean racer, handed over by Setiawan Santoso, showing the international spread of the drivers here. And every car needs to have at least one driver from Southeast Asia, the Asian region. And I know in the opening round we had 41 drivers of the region, a big step up from the second series of Blancpain in Asia. This is the third, the new name for 2019, Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. And an overall title, the Blancpain GT World Challenge, is contested across the series in the States, the series in Europe, and the series here. And at the end of the year, the points will be tallied. The manufacturers nominate their drivers who are going to score points in each of those three series. And the tally will be performed at the end of the year in the GT3 class. So, Sunaka Jukuchu. Again, that car, you have to really squint to sort of focus on it. Looks like it's almost like a little bit of a clever material work there, but keen to get out on the track. That's Tantam Sapia, going to be the first driver out onto the circuit. Can't go there, not for another 15 seconds, but the Porsche Cayman will be going out. And just to reiterate, this is an upgrade of the Porsche Caymans we saw racing here a couple of years ago, because the Porsche Cayman GT4 Club Sport MR is the very latest version. And in that opening session, about 1 and a bit seconds off the pace. Frank Yu has clambered out of the Craft Bamboo car, and Jean-Marc Merlin, driver duo that really get on with each other very well. They were the GT4 champions in the inaugural Blancpain Asia Series. Frank Yu and Jean-Marc Merlin, the French driver, just taking over now, but first driver out onto the circuit is Prida Tantan Sapia, and Alan Yeo has gone out in the 199 Mercedes. And again, the metallic blue Mercedes of GTO Racing Team. Playing it cool, bit of cool air being pumped in on the driver. The driver now is Tony Fong, taken over from Brian Lee. Tony Fong from Hong Kong. And unfortunately, one of the cars already in trouble. Not mechanical trouble, but naughty boy trouble. It's the 111 Mercedes from Team iRace.win, the one with the yellow bonnet. To stewards after session for speeding in pit lane. There it is. So I don't think it's just now. I think it was possibly on the way in, being handed over by teammates, because that message came up very quickly. In fact, it's already left my timing screens. Message received, no doubt, before the car went out onto the circuit. So it must be on the way in. So a wrap over the knuckles. 60 kilometres is the speed limit in the pit lane. 60 kilometres an hour. And obviously at each circuit we compete at around Southeast Asia, the pit lane from in to out, they're all different lengths, but they work out what time you should do if you hit the speed limiter and do your 60 kilometres. And here, from pit in to pit out, it's 24.4 seconds. If you just had to arrive, put your car onto the speed limiter and go through the pit lane. That helps them work out how long the pit stop should be, the mandatory pit stop should be. And here, when the pit window's open, your mandatory pit stop from pit in to stationary to pit out should be 90 seconds. And if you're doing it outside the pit window, it's 65 seconds. You don't want to pit outside the pit window. That means you're getting it all wrong, and it's normally for another purpose, like a puncture. So first car out onto the circuit. Prida Tantam Sapia completed its out lap, now onto its first flying lap. Wide open spaces, that's through the little very slight left-hand kink, which is called turn 2, and then heavy braking for turn 3. A lot of race action on the opening lap, almost guaranteed you can approach it 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 abreast if you're completely bonkers. Double right-hander, then up this gentle slope, come to a crest. The Porsche just about getting to the crest. 2, 3, 4 at the crest. Now they can start looking down the gentle decline to turn 4. So through there goes Prida Tantan Sapia. In the one Porsche Cayman in the GT4 class. Prida appeared in the championship last year in GT4 again with Sontayo Complomi for the same team, Racing Spirit team. Stays with the team, but this year he's got Moncon, Sapia and Thirikul, and another pairing, a pairing that stayed together, Sunaka Jukuchu. He is giving chase 5 of the 6 cars out onto the circuit, 3 of them onto their flying lap. Kikuchu in that BMW, the lone BMW in the class. He's onto his first flying lap. And again, it must be the car, can't be the drivers. We saw Frank Yu do it, or maybe he's recommended it to Jean-Marc Merlin. Had a quick look out of my windows, down to turn 4, out beyond the curbs, over the white line, over the dotted line, over the green strip, and back onto the circuit. Much more circumspect cornering from Prida Tantan Sapia. Puts down the first lap, 1 minute 47.732. First flyer, he will pick up the pace from there. Should get into 1 minute 46, is one would hope. Fastest time so far overall, 1 minute 44.358 seconds. Set in qualifying session number 1. And that was by Takayuki Kinoshita. His teammate Sunako Jukuchu out around his flying lap, just going through turn number 7. Looking very quick in the BMW. Right, Jean-Marc Merlin, he's been going wide. It's Tantan Sapia from Year. Now it's Merlin to the top, 1 minute 45.354 seconds. That is a good lap. 7/10 of a second, 6/10 of a second down on his teammate, but with your first flyer, that's very good. So Frank, you will be looking on from the Craft Bamboo pit area, probably out of. It's a clouded day, but there's still plenty of heat in the sun, so he's probably in the pit garage at the moment. And looking very good indeed. Fastest first sector of anyone by Sunako Jukuchu. His fastest second sector goes to the top of the charts. 1 minute 45.25 seconds, 0.103 seconds. So the first marker is down, but it shows what a good lap that was from Jean-Marc Merlin, who's second for Craft Bamboo Racing. Car number 80, the Porsche we saw leading out early on, its first flying lap taken away for track limits being exceeded at turn 1. Can't quite see turn 1 from my commentary booth, have to rely on camera images, but quite a few drivers getting it wrong. How annoying to scupper your lap on the very first of the 12 turns, but it happens. The 6th car, the final car, it was late out in first session, late out in second section. That's Tony Fong in the GTO Racing Mercedes, the metallic blue one, but the one that's really going very well indeed is Frank Yu. Frank Yu handed over to Jean-Marc Merlin. Here is Jean-Marc. And he's second. He's 0.103 of a second in arrears. He set his fastest opening sector. Not a very good middle sector. Not a very good opening sector. Good middle sector. His fastest middle sector. And suddenly, very, very strong in the middle sector is Tony Fong in that number 11. And in fact, even better, Ringo Chong in number 111. He has set the fastest middle sector of anyone. Sunako Jukuchu still on top by 1/10 of a second, almost precisely. There he is in the 81 BMW. What is he doing this time around? He's going to have to fight for it. He set the fastest first sector of anyone. Good middle sector, but it's being improved on by Ringo Chong. So at the moment it's 81 from 111. No, it isn't. 111 goes to top. Ringo Chong goes to top and is immediately knocked off. Not just knocked off, he was pipped, but then suddenly Sunako Jukuchu, literally the next car over the start-finish line, is 7/10 of a second faster. That's a better time than anyone managed in qualifying session number 1. He's got into 1 minute 44.1. His teammate Takayuki Kinoshita did it 1 minute 44.3, so looking very good. And as I said, really, really well-balanced pairing. Very tight out on the circuit. Loads of space for the BMW driver, but Jean-Marc Merlin really had to brake very late indeed to get into turn 5, going past one of the 2 Team iRace.win cars. It's the number 199, so Alan Yeo keeping out of the way, but he's down in 5th, and certainly Jean-Marc Merlin is that little bit faster. In fact, quite a lot faster, because at the moment Alan Yeo is 5 seconds off the ultimate pace. Still no time on the board for number 11. Number 11 late out, don't forget. Tony Fong just coming around to go for his flying lap. And car number 81 is no longer top of the charts because exceeding track limits at turn 3. So Sunako Jukuchu will have to do it all over again. He's only second fastest. Went to the top, don't forget, and he's only got his time in the 1 minute 45s on the board at the moment. Because his time in the low 44s. He's halfway around the lap. Is he improving this time around? No, he isn't. The clock is ticking away, more than halfway through this session. 8 of the 15 minutes completed. Tony Fong finally gets a time on the board. He's 3 seconds off the pace. Only good for 5th of the 6 cars. Number 11, there he is, Tony Fong. His teammate was quicker. Tony sharing with Brian Lee, and Brian looking on really strong form this weekend. There's Brian on the left with the glasses on the graphic, and Tony Fong. But he's picking up the pace. He's going to need to pick up the pace because suddenly Alan Yeo's gone above him. Oh, I'll tell you what, because Tony's time has just been taken away. A lot of these drivers would have been warned what the track limits were, but now in the full heat of qualifying, they're finding out that if you transgress, it will be noted. So no time on the board at the moment, with 6 and a bit minutes remaining for the GTO racing team. So Tony Fong, here's the driver with no time. He did one, it was taken away. So maybe, you know, when you're about 5 minutes late coming into out into a 15-minute session, you know, getting it wrong, going out over the curbs can bite you. If you do it on the next lap as well and the next one, you're going to start to run out of time to actually put a time on the board. So Tony Fong in 6th, Ringo Chong in 1st, number 111. Top of the charts at the moment for Team iRace.win. On top of the charts by very nearly half a second over Jean-Marc Merlin. So Sunaka Chikuchu, with this inability to stay between the white lines that mark out the circuit, only 3rd. And don't forget, this is a car that's easily capable. Well, it's shown it, it's lapped in the 1 minute 44s, but its best time only a 1 minute 45.2. So Jean-Marc Merlin has moved past it into 2nd place overall. Here is Ringo Chong, and he's going faster and faster. His fastest first sector of the lap, 2nd of the 3 sectors, and faster than anybody. And down to the final corner, the yellow bonnet and the charcoal grey Mercedes. Slightly messy final corner, but I think he's fastest at the moment and surely will improve his lap time. And as I say, surely, no, he doesn't. Made a mess of that final sector. We saw him struggling through the final corner, and in fact was 4 tenths down on his very best. Car 199 has had has had a lap removed, so bottom of the charts, Alan Yeo. Every time someone seems to be on the bottom, they then improve and have their times taken away. Now, 4.5 minutes on the clock. Fastest car on the circuit, Ringo Chong in the 111. Made a mess of his final sector. The 3 sectors in the lap. How good is he around turn 5? Tidy, stays on the track. Turn 6, likewise. Prida Tantam Sapia, first driver out onto the circuit. Porsche Cayman, 5th at the moment, almost precisely 3 seconds down on the ultimate pace. 1 second down, again, almost precisely on the number 11 car of Tony Fong. Tony has got a time on the board. Don't forget his times were taken away for exceeding track limits. He's gone from 6th to 4th. Now his next target, he's going to have to find more than a second and a half to depose Jean-Marc Merlin. Prida Tantam Sapia, no improvement for him there. Plenty of space on the track to play. But as the drivers are finding out, there's plenty of space on the track. There's also plenty of space beyond. But if you're tempted to use it, you will be spotted, and your time will be removed. Ringo Chong starting to be challenged. Suddenly, Sunaka Chikuchu, 2 slow laps in the BMW Team Studio. And he is really flying. He's now just 0.182 of a second in arrears. Tony Fong in 4th, he finds a bit of time, he's got to find more. He's in the 1 minute 46s, and Sunaka Chikuchu in the 1 minute 44s, and Chikuchu's just put in the fastest middle sector of anyone. You can see that purple graphic on the screen. He was 3 tenths of a second down in sector 1, so not brilliant at the start of the lap. Middle of the lap, very good. Down to the final corner, turn 12, 3 minutes remaining on the clock. Target time 1 minute 44.718 seconds. Surely it's going to be beaten. No, 7.59, so 41 thousandths of a second is the deficit. He's got enough time to do this lap and one more to try and take the class pole. I mean, effectively, it means they'll be starting from 25th place in the 30-car grid, with the GT4s bound to be the slowest 6 cars, simply the nature of what they're up against the far more powerful and more aerodynamically effective GT3 sisters. Where is the pace coming from? Ringo Chong starting to respond to the challenge. He's only on top by 41 thousandths of a second in 111. There is Ringo Chong. Again, the transgressions out over the curbs and beyond, back onto the circuit. Sunaka Chikuchu very slow in the opening stint, so maybe he's having a cool-down lap, and as long as he gets the checkered flag before it falls, 2 minutes remaining in this session, he will have one more flyer. But right now trying to lay down the law. Ringo Chong in 111 down through the sweep as he comes out of turn 9 through the sweeper of 10. Then you Turn to the left a bit more, then to the right, and suddenly coming in very, very slowly in front of him. And a swerve, it's ruined his lap. It looks as though number 11, Tony Fong, has run out of fuel or got an electrical problem. He's limping into the outer approach to the pit lane. Now he's got a bit of something going on, but he's not quite coming on the starter motor. But in fact, number 111 has pulled off as well. So we've still got 1 and a bit minutes remaining on the board. What is happening out on the circuit? Tony Fong had improved the previous time around. In fact, on this lap, he set his fastest first sector, his fastest second sector, but as he limps in and the clock has ticked down to next to nothing, it's going to be no improvement. Yeah, he's now in the pits, as in 111. So Ringo Chong, top of the charts there. You can see the first of the GT3 cars. We've got 24 of them here this weekend. Getting ready to come out and play their session. The first of their 2 sessions is at 12:02 in 11 minutes time. Any improvements out on the circuit? Maybe from Jean-Marc Merlin, just trying to spot him. He's gone out of turn 7 down the slope to turn end. The fast turn number 8, the fast right-hander. Then how's his middle sector time? Opening part of the lap, not brilliant. His middle sector is as good as it's ever been. In fact, better than it's ever been. So effectively, with 3 of the runners in the pits, is Jean-Marc Merlin going to complete this lap? He's just under a quarter of a second down on the ultimate pace. Can he gain another position? He's going to maybe get a little bit caught up with the Porsche as they go into the final corners. I think the Porsche will just manage to get out of the way. In fact, pulls off into pit entrance. That's the dream for Jean-Marc Merlin. Will it be good enough to improve? No, it won't. He stays in 4th place overall. And the last car that will come and take the checkered flag, will he go into the pits? No, indeed. 199. Alan Yeo not going to be able to improve on that lap, or is he? Yes, he has just improved. So he's 2.6 seconds down at the end. But so a change in session number 1. We had the BMW number 81 at the top of the charts. This time it's behind the number 111, the Mercedes. Ringo Chong takes the bragging rights. Times not as fast as in the first session, but don't forget Sunako Jukuchu set one that was 0.2 of a second quicker. Had it taken away. So I think for a lot of the drivers it would have been quite chastening. They were being watched, and unfortunately they're being watched transgressing. So many of them having their best times taken away. But at the end of this second of the 2 qualifying sessions, by the tiny margin of 41 thousandths of a second, Ringo Chong, top of the charts. So in that particular instance, it was BMW Team Studi, the team that set the pace in GT4, having to play second fiddle, but they know the pace is in the car. It just wasn't delivered out on the circuit due to fastest times being taken away. But the top 3 covered by just under a quarter of a second, then another second and a quarter back to number 11, which is Tony Fong. He had a good time taken away. Not alone in that. So now, as the last car's just, 2 cars actually, trying to come back to the pits there in the far reaches of the circuit. Let's take a look at those times. So Ringo Chong, top of the charts, won at 44.718. As I said, 41 thousandths of a second over the BMW of Sunako Jukuchu, who was faster but had his best time taken away. Jean-Marc Merlin keeping them honest. So the top 3 covered by very, very little indeed. Then a bit of a gap back to Tony Fong. Again, he lost quick times. Alan Yeo picking up the pace as he went 2.75 seconds down at the end, and a whisker over 3 seconds down. The team joining us this weekend, the Thai team, Racing Spirit team with their Porsche Cayman, at the back of the pack. But the top 3 very close indeed. So I think all of them will have had a few tales of what might have been. But transgressions were picked up, and when you have just the 8 cars going around the circuit at one time, the 6 cars, very easily spotted. It's suddenly going to be very, very busy indeed when the GT3 runners come out. But let's take a look at the highlights of GT4 qualifying. Prida Tantam Sapia, very quick to get out onto the circuit. The team wasn't at the opening round, but Racing Spirit team wanted as much track time as possible with their Porsche Cayman. And then out went Alan Yeo in number 199, one of the 2 Mercedes from Team iRace.win. Jean-Marc Merlin started to really get the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes going very, very well indeed. Often running wide, a lot of the drivers running wide. A lot of them having their best times removed for transgressing, having all 4 wheels over the white line at the outside of the circuit. Late out onto the track, Tony Fong, but really started to go very, very well indeed. Another driver who transgressed on exceeding driver limits, track limits. A lot of them getting it wrong down at turn 1. Late out, but straight onto the pace. Sunako Jukuchu in the BMW Team Studi M4. Glorious livery, glorious sound, and looking very, very tidy out around the circuit in that 81 BMW. going faster and faster. Ringo Chong really making the 111 Mercedes work. It was going to be very tight at the top. Would it be Chikuchu? Would it be Merlan? Would it be Ringo Chong at the end of the session? It was Ringo Chong, and then he had a possible improvement late in the session. Scuppered when he came across out of the penultimate corner, the slow-moving Mercedes of Fong, and so the lap was aborted. Anyhow, it didn't matter because his best lap was good enough to be at the top of the charts. The checkered flag has waved. That's the 2 qualifying sessions for GT4 on a split between 2 teams, BMW Team Studi, and for the second race it will be class pole for Team iRace.win. But now it's going to get very, very busy indeed. The GT3 runners ready to come out, and that is the 888 car from 888 Race Engineering, and it will be His Royal Highness Prince Abdul Rahman Ibrahim, known in his racing terminology as Jeffrey Ibrahim. He's coming out to play, made a massive splash on home ground in Malaysia at Sepang with a really strong run in the first race, sharing with Jasmine Jafar. And again, he will be the first driver in the pairing, and Jasmine will do the second of the qualifying sessions. So track conditions are dry, certainly no guarantee they will be so this afternoon. At 3:30 yesterday and the day before, heavy rain here at the Chang International Circuit. Temperature continues to rise, and I'm fairly sure, looking at the clouds, the humidity is going to continue to rise. Started raining at about 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon. Right now the track is dry, and the drivers have been out in the wet, the very wet, and 2 sessions in the dry. This is going to be dry. It's quick fired. 24 drivers followed by 24 drivers. 15 minutes, 7-minute gap, 15 minutes. These will define the grids. First in qualifying session, number 1 qualifying driver, number 1 will...
Fast lane now open. 12 priority GT3 cars, fast lane now open.
So there we have, it's going to be busy out on the track, busy in the pit lanes. So 12, half of the field, priority to get into the fast lane at the moment. There is the J-Fly Racing entry. Number 88, one of 3 Mercedes AMGs. This is the one from Craft Bamboo Racing. This is Jeffrey Lee. Second session, Alessio Picariello will take over. It's 11:57. Session due to start at 12:02. So 12 cars given priority to get out into the fast lane and line up. And again, it's about time management, track management, where to put your car on the track and when. 88 will clearly be the first car out onto the circuit. So Jeffrey Lee from Taipei. And tucked in behind, number 918 coming out to play. That'll be Vutikon Inthrafuvasak, wanting a good result on home ground. Don't forget, he got a very good result in Sepang. So good that he came second, so good that earns an extra 10 seconds at the mandatory pit stop in the middle of the race. If you're new to Blancpain racing, with success ballast, if you win the next race, you have to have an extra 15 seconds at a standstill. If you're second, you pick up an extra 10. And the car that finishes third, in this case the Craft Bamboo Racing number 99, will have an extra 5 seconds. So 15 seconds will be added to the pit stop time of Tanat Sathian Thirakul, another Thai racer who took that win with Philippe Hamprecht in the number 911 Absolute Racing Porsche at Sepang in the opening round of the series. All Thai pairing. Kansak Siri Viram Bhakti, and they are sharing the Absolute Racing Audi number 59 on home ground, wanting good results. So clearly half the GT3 field encouraged to go out and set their times early on, and then in order so they don't all trip over themselves, presumably peel off and keep out of the way, that those will be kicking off all the later. So all eyes on the screens in race control, just waiting for the clock to travel another 2.5 minutes, and then the noise and the spectacle will be ramped up big time. 24 runners go out to play, bigger, louder, faster than their GT4 sisters who've done their qualifying. Now they're parked up in the garage. Third car in the line there, the metallic blue number 13 Audi Sport Asia team, Absolute Racing, and it should be Jingsu Sun who will be kicking off in that. Henk Kicks, Daniel Bilski joined the championship this year. Be Quick Racing, yellow and black Audi, looks good. Picking up the pace as they settle in at this level. New at the top table of GT racing
remaining
in Asia.
GT3 cars, fast lane now open. All GT3 cars, fast lane now open.
So there is the message the drivers have been waiting for the other 12 cars. They can now join the fast lane if they so choose. In the background, the sort of all dark grey Lamborghini, new this weekend, one of 3 Thai teams this weekend. Vitana Motorsport, that will be kicked off by Chonsawat Asavahame, and he'll hand over to Japanese racer.
This is a reminder for all GT3 cars, please switch on your lights. Reminder for all GT3 cars, please switch on your lights.
So perhaps notification there for all GT3 runners to switch on their lights is to warn other drivers if they're coming up, but also it could well be wet this afternoon, very well be wet, and so they need to just be aware that headlights might be a good thing to have. But right now it's about making sure that if you're coming through, that your lap isn't ruined. If someone's coming in slowly, you're going to flash them. Get out of the way coming through. Don't want my lap tripped up. Are you going slowly in my path? You might be cruising back to the pits. So drivers need to be alert at all times. Thumbs up there from 911. Driver on board to kick it off is Tanat Sathian Thirikul. As I say, 8 Thai drivers in the field, and such a good result down at Sepang in the opening round when Tanat and Philippe Hamprecht won the second of the races. Absolute Racing, we're used to them running Audis, but they're running Porsches with aplomb this year. So far, no wins for Audi in the championship this year. Opening race won by Craft Bamboo Racing, Jeffrey Lee and Alessio Picariello in the 88 car you see at the front of the pit lane. And the car second, behind them came second in the second round, which was won by number 911. So Porsches came good. It was Mercedes 1-2 in the first race, Porsche 1-2 in the second race. But we're used to Audis doing very well indeed. And in fact, looking at the Audi results, the best results in the first 2 races, the best Audi in race 1 was
exit green.
10th. Second race, best result was 4th. Wear and Tan and Martin Rump. J-Fly Racing, Jeffrey Lee out onto the circuit. Great rumble. The Mercedes makes such a fabulous sound. The people at tracks around the world, if they've stayed away from seeing GT racing in recent years and they turn up at a track, the thing they always comment on with these GT3 cars is the sound of the Mercedes. So deep and rich and sonorous. Back in the pack there, you can see the Vitana Motorsports Lamborghini 97. That's a Mercedes going very well this year. Roloff Bruins, who likes to race as MG Choi for Solite Indigo Racing. He's sharing with a new driver this weekend, taking over that second seat, Manuel Metzger, German racer. So Roloff mixing it around, but Roloff really has stepped up this year. Really picked up the pace. Flashes of speed last year, but good consistent performance. Sepang, the opening race with Gabriele Piana, the Italian racer, but Gabriele busy this weekend, so Manuel Metzger stepping up into the breach. 9 new drivers this weekend, so the pot gets stirred. Many new driver combinations, and in fact the 2 teams new to the championship this weekend, Vitana Motorsport, that's the number 128 Lamborghini, and the Racing Spirit team, the Porsche in GT4, because they're new to the championship, or if you have an all-new driver lineup, even if the car's been entered before, you get an extra 7 seconds at your pit stop. See the nose of the Mercedes number 88 dipping down under braking. Jeffrey Lee should be the first to finish his flying lap. Most of the cars coming to the end of their out lap at the moment. And just to sort of highlight the fact, what we have here is we have silver lineups, which means they're the highest driver rankings. Then we have Pro-Am, we have a driver with a lower ranking and a silver driver, for example, in the lead. We have Am class. And so far in the first 2 races we've had a silver class car winning the second race, but a Pro-Am driver lineup. Jeffrey Lee, the Am, and Alessio Picariello won the opening race. And here is Jeffrey Lee in number 88, setting the pace. Is he fastest at the moment? No, he isn't. But will he be the first to put a flying lap on the board? Yes, he should be. And it's getting busy out on the circuit as 88 has clear space. In behind the Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Lamborghini really looking to find track space and almost having to push another car out of the way. That's Alex Zhao. And the car that was troubling him was the Anstone Racing number 17 Mercedes. That's the blue with the yellow and orange polka dots. That got in his way at turn 5, but he dived up the inside. So fleetingly fastest Jeffrey Lee, but suddenly 1.7 seconds faster went number 999, David Wayan Chen. But that's history, because suddenly it's all changing at the top. In fact, suddenly Chen down to 4th place. First Inter Fuvasak went to the top, then Roloff Bruins, and then now fastest time on the board is Weirong Tan, the number 12 Audi. 1 minute 34.787. That's his lap time. Tanat Sathi and Thirikul so strong. And all these runners were competing at Sepang, waiting to put that time on the board. 13 drivers have set times. Still Weirong Tan, 1 minute 34.787 seconds. But Tanat Sathi and Thirikul looking very good in the middle part of the circuit, and Wan Bo in number 912, the sister car. Absolute Racing's Porsches looking very strong indeed. Tanat Sathi and Thirikul will keep eyes on him. He's down, way down the charts, but that's because he hasn't set a flying lap. But he's doing so in great style. His middle sector, fastest of anyone. His first sector looking pretty tidy as well, maybe a 10th or so on the ultimate pace, but this could be good enough to put him to the top of the charts. And it does. Tanat Sathi and Thirikul to the top. Wan Bo was following around the track. He goes into 3rd place. So the top 3 cars covered by 0.05 of a second. Car number 21, Philippe Descombes, joining this weekend. So he's slotted into 21, 4th quickest. So the Frenchman based in Hong Kong, really getting it together there. So welcome to the championship, the open road racing Porsche, sharing with Francis Gia, and 4th quickest. That is an exceptionally good lap. He's just 0.3 of a second down on the ultimate place, but it's the number 911 setting the order. 1 minute 34.746 seconds, only clear by 41 thousandths of a second. How good is his second lap? Better than anything seen so far. The 911 is going faster and faster. Tanat will hand it over for the second sector of qualifying. The second session for the GT3 runners, the 4th in all. To teammate Philippe Hamprecht. Wide off the circuit and far beyond the far beyond there for Tanat Sathi and Thirikul. That lap most certainly will be removed. So his middle sector, yeah, he lost about 0.3 of a second getting it wrong. And Tanat will bring it home, but he made the mistake. And will probably pay the price for that. Car number 75 has had its best lap removed from it. That's the T2 Motorsport Ferrari, David Chimto Biantoro, down in 15th place at the moment. Still waiting for Darryl O'Young in car number 99 to set a flying lap. Lots of drivers getting it wrong into turn 4 and 5, running over the curbs. In the AM class, plenty of experience. The AMAC Motorsport Andrew McPherson driven Lamborghini, that's down in 20th overall. Philippe Descombes, brilliant opening lap, but that has been consigned to history because he's now shattered that. 1 minute 34.479 seconds, 0.2 clear. Tanat Sathi and Thirikul's time to go fastest. So there is Philippe Descombes, absolutely flying. Yeah, Philippe really getting that wound up. Francis Gia, who's a hugely enthusiastic racer, will be loving this, and he'll be delighted to think that his car, if it stays like this, will start this afternoon's race in the wet, in the dry, who knows. But either way, unless we get really serious answers, still time but plenty to go. We're only just coming up to halfway through this 15-minute session. But a really promising start by Philippe Descombes. And he's improved his first sector. You can see green over sector 1, only by 7 thousandths, but he's taken 64 thousandths off anybody's fastest time through sector number 2. He's got clear track ahead of him as number 13 in the background of Icopchi Box goes off the circuit at turn 5. But Descombes, will he improve on this lap? No, he doesn't, but he's so close. He's within a couple of 300ths of his very best time on the consecutive lap. That's 3 quick laps in a row. Was 4th, went 1st, and the time he set there is still quicker. That third lap in the run still quicker than anyone else has managed, but not as good as its very, very best. So Philippe Decombe really making it work, and looking impressive right to the edge of the circuit, but importantly on that particular corner, not beyond. Still quite a lot of drivers having best times taken away. Car number 51, time removed. That's the AMAC Motorsport Lamborghini we just saw. Car number 128, Vitana Motorsport Lamborghini. It's the turns of the Lamborghinis to go off, both at turn 5. The first of a double left-hand corner, turn 5 and 6, and a lot of drivers have been running wide there through the course of this meeting so far, but it doesn't pay. Your time is taken away. Plenty of runoff area, but the idea is not to use it. And as I look, someone else was using it. Where are the moves coming? Darrell Young last out onto the circuit, now fastest driver on the circuit by 54 thousandths of a second. So Darrell, so many years a Porsche racer, but really taking to this Mercedes with aplomb. Fastest of all. Coming out late didn't matter. He's making it work very, very well indeed for him. Another corner, another driver getting it wrong. The car I probably saw off the circuit might have been the ARN Racing Porsche. That's just been pinged for exceeding track limits. Turn 12 in this instance, the final corner. How good is this follow-up lap from Darrell Young? It's not matching his best. Who is looking to improve? Well, all looking to improve, but the 918 Porsche coming up towards the end of its lap is about to improve, surely. It's improved in Sector 1, it's improved in Sector 2, but for Vucicon Intrafuva Sack, he's down in 6th place overall. Does he improve? No, he doesn't. Blotted his copybook at the end of the lap. So it's still Darrell Young, late start to the session, deposing the very impressive Philippe Decombe. It's always quite confusing with so many times to look at in the commentary box, but I have to keep looking at my sort of secondary timing screen, and there's a huge wodge at the end of drivers had their laps removed for exceeding track limits. I think if the notes are compiled at the end of the session, it will mean very few drivers have escaped the attention of the overlords. Car number 13 was one of those that was very early on running off the circuit, and at the moment for Jingsu Sun, not working too well. 2.8 seconds off the ultimate pace, down in 20th position. 24 runners in the GT3 class. Daniel Au bringing up the rear at the moment, the number 55 entry, which is the one of the Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, sharing that with Melvin Moe, but 5 and a bit seconds down. New second driver, he'll be going out shortly. That'll be Andre Heimgartner, the number 27 Hub Auto Corsa Ferrari, but at the moment it's Yuya Sakamoto who is at the wheel. He's good. He's 8th fastest, 6/10 of a second down on the ultimate pace. So top of the charts, still Darrell Young. Yuya Sakamoto picking up the pace. Yes, he set his fastest first sector time. Andre Heimgartner, the Kiwi, will take over for the second of the GT3 qualifying sessions. The car off at the edge of the circuit. That was between turns 4 and 5. No problems for the Ferrari. But again, it was the ARN Racing Team. Number 8 Porsche off at the side of the circuit. Car 911 just had a time removed for exceeding track limits at the final corner. We've had a lot of people falling at turn 1, not falling, just going out over the curbs and beyond and being pinged. And car number 911 has just had a time. That was Tanat Sathian Thirikul. He's 4th fastest at the moment. It's a Young, Decombe, Bo, Sathian Thirikul, Tan and Intra Fuvasak. They are the top 6. And Sakamoto backs off, coming up to the final corner. Decided that wasn't a good one. That's in the Ferrari. Shame, he'd been very good in the opening sector, the first of 3. Maybe he's decided there's enough space behind the number 59 Singer Plan B Audi to go for a really good flyer. The clock continues to tick, 2.5 minutes remaining in this session. Don't forget, driver 1 sets the grid position for race number 1, this afternoon's race. There's the Porsche that kept running off. That's the number 8 car, ARN Racing. Going off the circuit. And the second driver will set the time for tomorrow's race. Tomorrow's race is at 11:45 in the morning. When all things equal, it should be dry. Humidity continues to rise. Temperature continues to rise. Very big possibility of rain for this afternoon's race. And that is at 3:30, a 1-hour race. Is anybody going to topple Craft Bamboo? They're going to have to go better and better because Darrell Young has just chipped away and added another 1/10 of a second to his advantage. He's now 0.15 seconds clear. Number 918 comes across the start-finish line. As Vutikon in Thrafuvasak, no improvement for him. It looks a lot of the improvements are coming for the drivers who were slow early in the session, but Darrell Young waited. He bided his time. He came out onto the circuit probably about 2, possibly even 3 laps after some of his rivals, but immediately nailed it and has now just improved. 1 minute 34.322. He was looking confident in the paddock this morning, and with reason. Number 88 looking to improve its form. Craft Bamboo Racing, Jeffrey Lee, that was the first one out on the track. Down in 13th, just had a time removed for exceeding track limits. Turn number 1. Darrell Young pressing on, no improvement in the first of the 3 sectors. Sun starting to come through. It's been a cloudy morning. Suddenly the car's looking much more colourful out on the circuit. Front of the shot, David Wan Chen, 999. No improvements for him. He's around mid-grid. He's 11th of the 24 runners. Car number 75, the latest to lose a time. Car 75, the T2 Motorsports Ferrari. Great livery on that. But at the moment for David Chipto Biantoro, he's only 14th out of the 24. Good news indeed for Darrell Young. Final 20 seconds. Will he complete this lap? Will he come into the pits? But the good news for him, not just he's fastest, is the next 10 cars behind him, 9 cars behind him have already pitted. They will not improve. Pole for this afternoon's race. We'll go to the man with the green flashes on his Mercedes, Darrell Young. Clock has reached the end of the 15 minutes. Checkered flag. A few drivers to complete these laps, but none of the front runners to do that because Darrell Young has bagged pole position surely in the 99 Mercedes. There it is at a standstill. In the background of the shot, Jeffrey Lee was coming in the sister car, the 88 Mercedes, also entered by Craft Bamboo Racing, but a very, not just one, but almost, well, 2 very, very quick laps. Good for pole and good for an improved pole from Darrell Young, but Filippo Descombes in this weekend. What a star performance for him in the open road racing Porsche. Second fastest. Wanbo third in his Porsche, but Descombes just 0.157 in the end of a second down. That was really, really very strong indeed from Descombes. Third fastest Wanbo. Quick look at the 888 Mercedes at the moment. So Jeffrey Ibrahim unfortunately couldn't improve. He stays down in 19th place. 19th out of 24. But don't forget, this is a driver, the Prince from Johor, who only just dipped his toe in the racing pond last year. And here he is, really just getting to grips with these big GT3 runners. But really, Darrell Young looked very, very impressive. The 55 car also from Craft Bamboo Racing, that's Daniel Lau. He is the slowest of the runners, so top and bottom for 2 of the 3 Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes, and somewhere in the middle is the sister car. But look at that chart in the end, 50.157 of a second. Darrell Young, he's going to hand over now to Christina Nilsson. Let's see what she can do towards the grid for tomorrow's race, but certainly on pole this afternoon. Darrell Young for Craft Bamboo Racing, Philippe Descombes, open road racing Porsche, so impressive. Wanbo, we saw his exceptional speed at Sepang. He's done it all over again, no flash in the pan for him. And then Tanat Sathian Thirikul, one of many drivers to have fallen foul of the stewards for exceeding track limits, so possibly his best ones removed. Where on Tan, 5th, showing with Martin Rampa and Vutikon in Thrafuvasak, showing again 2 ties right at the sharp end of the field. In fact, 3 in the top 10 with Piti Birimbagdi in the McLaren, the 1 McLaren in the field, but they had a prototype last weekend and now they've got a new racer this weekend, so more and more consistent form for them in their latest McLaren. So there's Piti down in 9th place, Alex Au completing the top 10, best of the Lamborghinis for Vincenzo Sospiri Racing Team. But again, the Audi's not quite at the sharp end. The top one of those in 5th place overall. That's Wear and Tan. But their pomp in the first 2 seasons is definitely being challenged, and the Mercedes are looking very handy indeed. Now, I must say, as more and more people get their hands on the Porsches, looking good for them as well. There's Daniel Au bringing up the rear, 5 seconds down. Busy session, a lot of the drivers getting a little bit wrong, but some of them, particularly Darrell Young, getting it very right. Let's have a look at the highlights.
Attention all GT3 teams, attention all GT3 teams. This is 1 minute warning announcement before fast lanes.
GT3 runners out onto the circuit, immediately setting fast laps. In the background of the shot there, you can see one of the many drivers getting it wrong, running wide at the edge of the circuit and beyond. But the field went round and the first flying lap was set by the driver who was first out of the pits. No surprises there. Craft Bamboo Racing, Jeffrey Lee. And then the Porsches started coming good. The 911 car really going very well indeed with Tanat Satyan Thirikul. He was one of many drivers to run foul of the officials, running over and beyond the edge of the circuit. But a driver who really impressed. Open road racing may have unearthed a real star in Philippe Descombes, but suddenly put it fourth and went up to the top of the charts. But then Daryl Young responded in the 99 Mercedes. There it is in the classical livery. Well, it is classical for Craft Bamboo Racing. They've had that bright green on their flanks and bonnets for many a year. The Ferrari started to really pick up the pace. Yuya Sakamoto tried to get the Hub Auto car Corsa 488 to the front of the field. He got into the top 10, but could go no further. Daryl Young not satisfied with one lap that was good enough for pole. He, just in case others were going to start attacking him, put in another one. 1 minute 34.322 seconds was his best. Brought it back to the pits. His rivals had already pitted, so advantage and pole, the first pole of the two races in the GT3 class, going to Craft Bamboo Racing and Daryl Young. And now we'll find out who's going to go top in qualifying session number 4, which will define the grid for tomorrow morning's race, the second of the two races here at Chang International Circuit. Cars already at pit exit, and at the front of the queue, number 16, Modern Motorsport. John Shen drove it in the first session, and the Danish racer, Benny Simonsen, will take it over. And likewise, all the cars. Driver 1 has hopped out. They've sorted the grid for race 1. For race 2, it's their teammates. And the Be Quick Racing has been handed over from Daniel Bilski to Henk Kicks. And he will be leading the field out. Tucked in behind the 666 Lamborghini. That's Vincenzo Sospiri Motorsport. That was a car that when it was wet yesterday afternoon, when I say wet, I mean very wet indeed. Constantly going off the circuit and having a couple of spins. Nothing, wasn't alone in that, but did do two of them, I think, on consecutive laps at turn 5, right in plain sight of those like me, high in the grandstands watching the action. But it was very wet. Frederick Schandorf will be taking that over. Alex Au drove it in the first session. And now the Estonian racer, Martin Rump, very strong indeed in that number 12 Audi. And when we went racing for the opening round of Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia, he's taking that over from Warren Tan. And Warren was right at the sharp end in Q1, so they could have a very good day. Warren was 5th at the end of those sessions. Timing screens swept clear. 15 minutes of action to follow. Will Craft Bamboo Racing make it 2 from 2, 99. Pole for race 1 for Daryl Young. Christina Nielsen, now one of the busiest GT3 drivers in the world. Last weekend was racing at Mid-Ohio, and if you've seen the onboard footage of her opening lap, it's a joy to behold. I think she started 12th and came round at the end of the opening lap. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but she did come round in 4th place. So her onboard footage, I mean, a lot of things. It was very busy. Mid-Ohio, a very tricky track. And other people around her were getting it wrong, and the Danish racer was getting it very right indeed. Now she's got to put all that behind her. Could be more different here, but she will be going out in that 99 Mercedes. But it's the 16 Porsche at the front of the queue for Modena Motorsport. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing tucked in behind. Then the blue and red Ferrari, number 75. David Chipto Biantoro drove that in session 1. And Rio Haryanto.
Exit green.
As we go green at pit exit, we'll be taking the T2 Motorsport Ferrari out in session number 2. The time to beat, not that it matters, but just as a matter of pride, pole for race 1 will be 1 minute 34.322 seconds. Let's see what can happen in session number 2 as we try and sort the grid for tomorrow morning's race. Number 97 coming out of pit exit now is the Indigo Racing Mercedes. Roloff Bruins drove it in session 1, and as I said, he's got a new teammate this weekend in Manuel Metzger, who's taken over from the drive this weekend from Gabriele Piana. Gabriele, very busy, works Mercedes driver in GT series around the world, and Manuel slotting in because Gabriele is busy. Matana Motorsport, they've made their debut here this weekend with Chonsuwata Savahami in session 1, but now Akihiro Asai, the Japanese racer, there he is. in the pretty much unliveried 128 Lamborghini. Haven't seen what the track temperature is ahead of this session, but it was 44 degrees ahead of qualifying number 1. That seems an age ago when the GT4 runners went out, but with the sun breaking through during qualifying session number 3, the first of the 2 sessions for GT3 runners, the temperature is sure to have gone up a few notches higher. Track temperature will have carried on in its upward arc. So Benny Simonsen, brother of the late Alan Simonsen, will be leading the field around in that number 16 Porsche. He ought to be the first to go from out lap to flying lap. In fact, he just got out of the way. Frederick Schandorf has just flashed past. Just waiting for the timing screens to catch up, followed by Rio Haryanto, the Indonesian racer. Had that fleeting season in Formula One with Manor Racing. A lot of the drivers still getting heat into their tyres. Here's the Lamborghini, Frederick Schandorf leading the way. Yes, Benny Simonsen actually reported into the pits at the end of that outlap. So the 16 Porsche we saw at pit exit at the front of the queue is going to be slotting to the back of the pack. Frederick Schandorf doing the long run out of turn 3, up over the crest in the 666 Lamborghini from Vincenzo Sospiri Motorsport. Can he get it right for turn number 5? Yes, he can. He keeps it tidy out. Well, to me, that's just about beyond the edge of the curbing. You have to keep at least 2 of your wheels on the circuit side of the white line that's around the outside. He was over the curbing at turns 5 and 6, not to the extent of some of the other runners who've just been all 4 wheels, far beyond. I think you could, well, there's what you call the far beyond. We're just catching, unfortunately for Frederick Schandorf, a full view of him running out beyond the edge of the circuit out of turn number 8. So it's quite possible this lap, however good it is, will be removed for track limit excess. Philip Hamprecht has just been pinged for exceeding them at the opening of first of the 12 corners. So his first flying lap, he gets the first corner, goes out beyond, and however good the rest of the lap is, it will go in the bin. So first time on the ball, 1 minute 35.391 seconds for Schandorf. Haryanto topples that immediately. Chris van der Drift goes faster, then his Porsche is knocked back by the 911 Porsche and Philip Hamprecht, and Katsak Kasiri, number 59. There's the top of the chart, so it's Audi top of the charts. Will he stay there? 1 minute 33.881. That's faster than the first session on the first flying lap. So Kasiri absolutely flying. Suddenly that 75 T2 Motorsport Ferrari, 6th, 7th to 8th, falling down the order. So it's Katsak Kasiri, Alexandra Imperatori, Philippe Hamprecht. They are the top 3. There's the McLaren, number 61. Waiting for Keita Sawa to put in a flying lap. He's on his first flying lap. It's suddenly very, very busy out on the circuit. Wherever you look, there are GT3 runners. 59, top of the charts. Katsak Kasiri backed off a little bit. 918 behind him, second on the road, second, or effectively on the times. We've just seen Alexander Imperatori, that 918 Porsche from Panther AAS Motorsport, looked after by Absolute Racing. Where are the quick times coming from? Alessio Picariello, his fastest first sector, the fastest second sector. Look out for him. He's on the move, and he goes top in the 88 Mercedes for Craft Bamboo Racing. And number 918, Imperatori, the Swiss racer based out in China, getting it wrong. That will be picked up by the officials, I'm sure of that. Light to blaze. That won't distract attention from the fact he exceeded track limits. He's coming down to the final corner, but target time, 1 minute 33.216. Picariello didn't just go top, he went fastest by 2/3 of a second. Imperatori cuts the gap to just 0.35 of a second, but I think I'm going to keep an eye on that because that was definitely out beyond the edge of the circuit. 4 cars now. Philip Hamprecht improves, also gets into the 1 minute 33. So those 4 cars all fastest and the best time in sector 1 in session number 1. In fact, the top 7 cars, Martin Rump, Manuel Metzger, new on board this weekend, Jasmine Jafar in the 888 Mercedes, all faster than the pole time for this afternoon's race. Getting quicker and quicker. The sun continues to just about break through the crowds in places around the circuit. Alessio Picariello in that 88 Mercedes. Lights are flashing. He doesn't want those cars in front of him. He's trying to improve his lap time. Hasn't in Sector 1, hasn't in Sector 2. The important thing now is for the Belgian to back off, find space on the circuit. He could have afforded to do that at the run from turn 11 to turn 12. No, he's coming into the pit lane. In fact, he only made a vague approximation of that. Still 8 3/4 minutes remaining, so maybe he wants a little tyre pressure adjustment in the pit lane before he goes out to see if he can improve on pole. But at the moment, 0.3 of a second, 0.351 of a second, Picariello over Imperatori. So Kansak Kusiri third fastest, Martin Rump in fourth. It's Mercedes from Porsche, from Audi. Keita Sawa needs to improve, has to improve. He's 23rd fastest, 12.8 seconds down, sure to be improved. Now he's only 1.9 seconds down. That moves him up into 16th place. Still no sensible flying lap from one driver. That's Benny Simonsen, was first out of the pits and then came in at the end of his out lap. Now he's done another out lap and he's out onto a flyer lap. How far that will move him up the charts. He's 24th and slowest, but the 16 Modena Motorsports Porsche sure to pick up the pace this time around. So it's Picariello, Imperatori, Kusiri, Rump and Hamprecht. They're the fast five. Andre Couto needs to pick up the pace. He was on good form at Sepang, but their second race came to a smoky halt. The car came in and became a flame on the drive back to the pits. All repaired. Another example of a driver going way out beyond the edge of the circuit. Car 912 has had a lap removed. Don't forget that's a car that should be right in the mix. That's John O'Lester on board in the 912 this weekend, sharing with Wan Bo. Don't forget Bo was third fastest in the qualifying sector 1. The car is quick. It's up to the Kiwi to keep it on the black stuff. New car in third place, number 13 Audi has picked up the pace. That's the metallic blue one. Frankie Chen Kongfu. Christina Nielsen going a little bit wide at the final corner. Her car, which is fastest in qualifying session number 1, down in 15th at the moment. She's 1.7 seconds off the ultimate pace. Well, I think we're about to have a new ultimate place. Kansak Kusiri. No, he got it wrong at the end of the lap. He looked good to go top, but he goes up from 4th to 3rd. It's still Alessio Picariello. Now, what can Couto do as he comes towards the end of his lap? He needs to get himself into the top 10. He's got a bit more of this lap to do before he can maybe pick that form, but he's improved his pace, picking it up. Pretty much everyone on our timing screens, it means we've got green on the screen rather than yellow. That means drivers are improving their pace, but it's still Picariello, 0.3 of a second over Alex Imperatori. Frankie Chen Kongfu going well. Benny Simpson now has a flying lap in, but he's only moved up to 23rd position in the number 16 Modena Motorsports Porsche. 24 cars in GT3. Kansak Kusiri looked good last time around, not so good in the opening sector this lap. So him, Buriram Bhakti, he could be starting maybe third, but where's the move coming from? Who is going to change the order? Picariello, Imperatori, Kusiri, Cheng and Metzger. They are the top 5. Benny Simonsen, 23rd. Snap of the fingers, up to 8th place. So the Modena Motorsport Porsche, it was worth watching. Kansak Kusiri again using as much of the circuit as he can, and possibly a little bit too much, but it hasn't improved him in Sector 1, hasn't improved him in Sector 2. Henk Kicks bringing up the rear, 24th fastest of the 24 GT3 runners. Handily quicker than the best of the GT4 runners, so guaranteed 24th place on the grid. Kusiri into the pit lane. Clock ticking down. 15 minutes this session. Just like the first session. 9:18. Imperatori now. Alexander Imperatori, the Swiss driver who's done so much of his racing in Southeast Asia, based for a long time out in China. He's 3.351 of a second down on Alessio Picariello. No improvement through Sector 1. Andre Couto's gained 1 position, gained 2, and then Benny Simonsen went past him, but he's not in the reckoning. But Imperatori waiting for his second sector time. Will he improve? Suddenly we've got a different colour on the screen. We've got pink. That means someone's gone faster than anyone else, but that's only in Sector 1. It's Rio Haryanto in the 75 Ferrari. Let's see what he can do in Sector 2. This is if he can keep this going, has the scope to improve. I tell you who has improved, the driver in provisional pole position, Alessio Picariello. We've been watching Imperatori, who's second fastest, but the 88 Mercedes, Picariello's in the 1 minute 32s now. He's fastest by 7/10 of a second. No change of place, but a change of pace for Picariello. So his teammate Jeffrey Lee will be very pleased with him indeed. Picariello on his next lap is going even faster through Sector 1. Not as fast as Haryanto. Haryanto fastest first sector, no improvement in Sector 2. He's down in 13th place, he's going through the final corner, up to the start-finish line. Where does that put him? Precisely where he started. Stays in 13th position. No improvement in Sector 2, certainly no improvement in Sector 3. 3 and a little bit of minutes to go. And Picariello, well, 1 minute 32.866 seconds maybe wasn't enough. He's worked a clear stretch of track. There he is, the 88 Mercedes, Craft Bamboo Racing. Fastest of anyone. Improvement in the first part of the lap. Improvement on everybody in the second part of the lap. And coming through turn 11, past the open road racing. Porsche that was so good in the hands of Philippe Descombe in qualifying Sector 1 has that little jink out of turn 11 delayed him. Will he go faster in 1 minute 32.866? 1 minute 32.731. Picariello flamboyant out of the car, flamboyant in the car. That is super, super quick. And just to let you know, that is 1.6 seconds faster than pole, set by the man over whose shoulder we're looking in the pit lane for race 1. That's Daryl O'Young. He's looking to see what Christina Nielsen can do, but she's down 2.2 seconds off the pace in the 99 Mercedes, the sister car to the 88 car that is dominating. She's down in 19th position. Right now, Picariello can do no wrong. Might as well bring it back into the pits. But who's second? Another Mercedes racer, no longer Alexander Imperatori. It's 888, and here it is on the screens. Jassim Jafar got to within 7/10 of a second. Not improving on this lap, but maybe he's got one more in him. He's kept his powder dry until the end of the session, but Picariello is looking magnificent. But how will it be? 888 ahead of 88? At the moment it's 88 with the bragging rights. Picariello on super strong form, but towards the end of the session, right, this flying lap is the one that's going to count, not the one that, the one he just started. Here is Jafar. So that lap was a 1 minute 33, but he was a 10th of a second down in his ultimate pace. So we're talking tiny sectors. He had no improvement in any of the sectors, but within within a hundredth here or there around the whole lap. But now he's got clear circuit as the sun shines through a little more brightly. The silver flanks on the 888, the 888 Race Engineering Mercedes looking a little brighter in the sunshine. Chris van der Drift, so strong as the Sepang, suddenly slots into 10th place, the number 910 Porsche. Where else the changes? And Frankie Chen Kong Fu goes third. So Alex Imperatori, not so long ago, was sitting in second. Now he's down to fourth. Open road racing Porsche. Unfortunately, Francis Chier not as quick as his teammate Philippe Descombe. Instead of being up at the sharp end, he's down towards the tail in 23rd position, trying to see what he can do in the final few laps. Still quicker than Henk Kicks, but Henk is improving his form. Chris van der Drift went 10th. Nah, not good enough. He's just slotted the number 910 Porsche up into 7th place. A whisker over 1 second down on the ultimate place. And what a pace it is. He's only 4/10 down on the driver in 3rd place. Imperatori improves from 4th to 3rd. So he's 3/4 of a second down. There's Alessio Picariello. Very, very happy indeed. I can't see anyone suddenly finding a mere 3/4 of a second. So it looks as though he has got the pole tied up. 3 seconds until the checkered flag will fall. And the challenge of 888, Jassim Jafar, has been blunted because as the flag has fallen, he's decided that he was making no improvement. Second for Jafar. Into the pits. Imperatori, can he improve on this lap? No, not in sector number 1. He's a driver who just kept on improving. 1 second, fell to 4th, up to 3rd. Kansak Kusiri. Oh, and then suddenly when I said he was 3rd, I meant 4th because Frankie Chen Kong Fu in the number 13 Audi, right at the end, moves up into 3rd place. Will he still be there? Who else can challenge? Looking to see who's quick out around the circuit. Chris van der Drift has been going very well indeed. He moved into the top 10, went 10th, up to 7th. Number 12, Martin Rump, looking for him. He's 6th. He's on our screens, but he's not lighting up my timing screen. I think he's going to be reporting into pit entry. Yep, there he is. You can see the white line into pit entry. Melvin Moe just goes around and completes another lap. Flag has fallen. Any improvers late on? I think we can say the order is going to be Picariello, Jasmine, Jafar and Cheng. Surely there'll be no further late improvements. Only about 4 more cars on the track. There's Henk Kiggs, has been improving. This is final lap. Will he move up from last on the charts in that yellow and black Be Quick Racing Audi? But it wasn't just an impressive job in being fastest. It was how much faster that Alessio Picariello was. So for Craft Bamboo Racing, pole for race 1 for Darrell O'Young. He'll be kicking off this afternoon, whether in the wet or the dry. From his stablemate, Alessio Picariello will put the 88 car to the top of the charts. And the driver of car number 21 to report to the stewards after the session. The driver of car is Francis Chia. I don't know if it was from obstruction or excessive driving off the circuit, but he's going to have the walk that requires an explanation at its conclusion. So I think we can safely say pole is in the bag, and a hugely impressive pole for tomorrow morning's race. Alessio Picariello, number 13 Audi. Frankie Chen Kong Fu got up to third, but with a late scurry and flurry of times and a late improvement from Kansak Kusiri, ends up down in 5th place. Driver of car number 17 also to report to the stewards at the end of all. Let's take a look. That was Yokomitsu. But Alessio Picariello, fastest by 3/4 of a second, given a tiny bit of change, but so close in that battle for 3rd place. Because right at the end, Imperatori, Kusiri and Cheng had got up to 3rd, had his time taken away. Not alone in that. So the time's bobbling around, but just no dispute. Alessio Picariello, top for Craft Bamboo Racing. So 2 pole positions decided here at the Chang International Circuit for this afternoon's race and for tomorrow. And both of these races will be led off by a Craft Bamboo Racing Mercedes. 99 for the first race, and for the second race, it'll be kicked off by Alessio Picariello in the 88 sister car. So Mercedes strong, first and second. Porsche, but then Audi's coming very, very good indeed. Kusiri, Cheng and Rump, 4th, 5th and 6th. Daniel Bilski, well, he did improve on that final lap, but improved his time, but not his position. So he'll bring up the rear as Be Quick Racing settle in to Blancpain GT World Challenge Asia. The standard keeps on rising and rising. What you might have got away with in series number 1 is history in series number 3. The teams get faster, the drivers get faster, the cars get faster. 3rd visit here. And really, it's been fantastic coming to Chang International Circuit. Let's look at the highlights. Benny Simonsen might have been the first one out for Modena Racing, but reported in at the end of the lap. Left it to the others to put the first timing on the board. On the drivers trying to get heat into tyres. Vincenzo Sospiri Racing, then Lamborghini quick in the early stages, but in the final reckoning, Frederick Schandorf ended up outside the top 10 in 12th overall. 918. Started to show its form early in the session. That's the Porsche, the Panther AAS Motorsport Porsche in the hands of Alex Imperatori. But Alessio Picariello got the 88 car from Craft Bamboo Racing, the Mercedes AMG, to go fast. Time quicker than anyone else could manage. The challenge from Kansak Kusiri, the Thai racer, trying to push on very hard indeed for the Singer Plan B Audi crew. Comfortably in the top 10. Imperatori started to pick up the pace a little bit more, the Swiss driver going up to the top of the charts, but then Picariello decided it was his Craft Bamboo Racing car that should be at the ultimate tip of the iceberg. Late in the session, when Jasmine Jafar went out and put the Triple 8 Racing Mercedes, a little bit of an off-track moment there, may have been pinged for that, but he was good enough for 2nd place overall. Any thought he might have had a late tilt at pole, he was going to be asking a lot. He had to find 3/4 of a second, and eventually he aborted it. But the 88 car, Craft Bamboo Racing, white, blue, red and black, and Alessio Picariello was absolutely supreme. His fastest time, 1:32.731. So qualifying is now over at Chang International Circuit. We know the grid for this afternoon's race and for tomorrow's. Do make sure you join us. Our race this afternoon will begin at 3:30, and tomorrow morning join us at 11:45.